Hey everyone, welcome to the Habitat demos for August 4th. We've got a brand new tutorial, we've got some Windows work, and a little bit more progress on Builder for you today. Why don't we go ahead and start with Chris, who's got the new tutorial. Go ahead.
Stuff. Yeah. Can you guys see what I'm sharing here? Oh, hopefully you can. I can't hear anyone suddenly.
Yeah, totally.
We can see it.
All right, cool. Yeah, so we have a bunch of new tutorial stuff releasing very soon here. I don't know what's going on. I was on the wrong thing. Okay, you see. Don't do this very often. All right, cool. There we are. We're in the right place there. We got a bunch of new tutorial stuff that's coming out now. So if you're like if you're newish to Habitat and you're looking for a way in, we have a whole bunch of new stuff that you can take advantage of now. So 3 kind of major sections we have. There's a getting started section, which kind of gives you some background information, some illustrations that kind of show you how the various components of Habitat work and communicate with one another. There's an interactive demo of the Habitat command line tool that you can use to kind of walk through to get a feel for how it works. Much more filled out download and installation instructions, stuff about creating your origin, what an origin is, how to do that, and get everything wired up with the depot, and then a more comprehensive walkthrough of a Rails and Postgres set of application services that bind to one another and do all kinds of cool Habitat stuff. So this is the acceptance environment that you're looking at now. We're just kind of making some final little touches there to make sure that everything is correct and error-free, and it should be going out maybe even today. So that's all I got.
All right, great work, man. This has been something we've been trying to deliver for a little while now, and we're really glad to have him finished up. And if anyone is new to Habitat and watching this, go through those tutorials, get into the chat room, and tell us what you think. We would love to hear your feedback. Next up, I'm going to go with Matt, who's got some sweet Windows work.
All right, so we're going to show running an ASP.NET full framework IIS application inside of Habitat. So far to date, a lot of our Windows work, as we've been developing Habitat for Windows, we've been using .NET Core. .NET Core is very portable, it's very isolatable, works great with Habitat. The unfortunate thing about .NET Core is that not a lot of people are using it. Most people who are interested in Habitat on Windows are using .NET full framework applications, and a lot of them are using web applications inside of IIS. So there's some unique challenges that we face there. One is that the full framework, unlike a lot of other runtimes like Node or .NET Core or Ruby, Windows expects it to be in a very specific place on disk, and there's even some registry settings involved, so not very Habitat friendly. IIS, unlike Nginx or Apache, it's actually hardwired in Windows. If you want to upgrade IIS, you upgrade Windows. So it runs as a feature of Windows. So how do we do that with Habitat? We've made a couple basically design decisions, which is we're just not going to try to package IIS. We're not going to try to package the .NET full framework as separate entities, because that just, while there are techniques we could use to do that, it would bastardize the system so much that would make it very difficult to debug. And so what we're going to, our recommendation there is basically to use your configuration management story, your provisioning story, to make sure those things are laid down. But what Habitat can do, Habitat can take control of the actual application itself. So let's actually watch that happening. So I'm going to, first of all, let me show you. So here's IIS. This is the IIS console on my machine. And you'll notice that it's empty. There's no websites in here running. And what Habitat is going to do.
Hey, Matt, did you want to share your screen?
Oh, I absolutely want to share my screen. Thank you for speaking up there. I have a habit of doing that. Whoa, that is always amazing. Okay, so, okay, here we are. So here's IIS on my machine, empty, no websites, nothing. And I'm going to go ahead and start up my Habitat. So here's the Habitat supervisor over on the left. You'll see that now my Habitat application is stopped. Over on the right, I'm going to start it up. And what we do when we start up Habitat, you'll see it over here. Yeah, here it goes. We're leveraging DSC, Desired State Configuration, Microsoft's kind of new configuration management story, something that actually Chef integrates with. But here in Habitat, if we look at the plan inside of our configs, we have a config file, and what this is a raw DSC configuration. So this is anybody that's familiar with DSC, and hopefully more and more people on the Windows sides are becoming that way. Should know how to set up IIS, or if you're familiar with setting up IIS via DSC, you'll have no problem setting up your web applications, your web pools, all of those IIS type of primitives using DSC. So you'll see here we've got our handlebars, variables for the site name, for the path to our application, to our port. And we'll see over here, so it's now running. So I should now be able to refresh this and actually see an application running. Yay. So now let's say I go over here and we just refresh this stuff. So here's my site. So Habitat called into that DSC, it made sure everything was set up. Habitat told IIS to start the site. And now let's try and do something bad to the site. Let's bring the site down. We'll do this the old-fashioned way and just actually apply the mouse. And now let's look at our supervisor, and it's going to say, "Oh no, I can't reach the site anymore. I'm going to restart myself." Just like you would if you tried to manually, stop a Habitat service outside of the supervisor. So it's restarting it. It's going to reapply that DSC, which is going to basically restart what I just stopped. If we go here, if I can beat it to it, I should see it actually did. Yeah, okay. Thank you, Hangouts, for consuming my CPU and making this take a little bit longer than it usually would. And there we go. So it's now running, and here we see it in the background. Now let's just one more little thing to kind of demo this. Let's change some configuration. So let's change the port to 8096 because that is way better than 8097. Oh yeah, here. So we'll see a supervisor. It says it's reconfiguring. It's stopping it. So I should see this should be not a happy thing if I'm hitting an 8097. And so look at my supervisor. So now it's restarting it. This little bit, like I said, takes a little bit, especially if the supervisor is running Hangouts at the same time. That's something that we recommend that you don't do, but I'm doing it here just for the sake of demonstration. And okay, so now it's running, and I should go to 8096 and see a running website. Yes. So there we go. So, interestingly, the Habitat that ships today can do this. We did have to submit a PR into PowerShell itself, which was merged to make a small bit of this possible. There's a repo, which I've shared in the Windows channel, that actually has this application. I'm about to submit some new commits to that because one of the things about that repo, it requires you to have Visual Studio on your box. We've made some changes and added we're adding some packages to core plans, so that won't be the case. Basically, we're adding packages for like the .NET retargeting information and the Visual Studio build tools for 2017. I think that is all there is to show. So this should be a great story for those people that are running IIS applications and want to use Habitat.
Yeah, man, that is a killer demo. The thing about working with OSs that want to own these pieces is that Habitat just, we want it. We're trying to isolate everything. We're trying to make everything immutable. We don't want to reach over global global bits for the operating system. But this does show that there's a story there for how Habitat works with OSs like older Windows, where those components are features.
And one thing I should also mention, so the next step in this would be scaffolding. So the idea here is that you'll just have to put in like 5 lines of a plan and stick that in your same directory that you would have your Visual Studio solution, or your CS proj file, and it should just build.
That is excellent. All right, last we got Salim, who's shown some more improvements to Builder.
Yep. So what I'm going to show is basically a quick optimization we made to Builder. And the reason why we're doing this is because Builder is actually a very powerful tool. You can kick off a build, but actually you could be doing potentially hundreds of cascading builds from that one root build that you kick off. So, and it's also very easy to kick off multiple builds of the same root project. So we want to put a little bit more control on that, so that if you have a build that you've kicked off and is still in progress, then we won't let you kick off another build of that exact same thing until we complete that first set of builds. So that's the basic change that's been made. I'm going to demo it at the API level just because this is my dev environment, and I have it set up this way, but I have the services running, and I'm going to submit a HTTP post to kick off a build of a test application. And when I do that, you should see that it's succeeded. It's accepted the build's in progress. And then I'm going to do the exact same post again while the build is in progress. And now we should see that it actually fails with a group create one error response. And this is a 400 conflict that the UI will 409 conflict that the UI will handle at some point. So that's the basic change. And once this build completes, and we should be able to kick off this thing again, and it should accept it again. Let's try it. I think it has completed, and see now we're able to kick it off. So that's the basic demo.
All right, that's the end of the demos for this week. We'll have some more stuff for you guys next week. We released 0.20.80 earlier this week, or late last week. If you're all around that, give it a shot. Give us some feedback. Let us know how that upgrade went. And there's a new feature that came out in that, which I think we demoed last week, which is plan initializations had some improvements. We'll automatically detect basically what kind of app you're trying to build. As Matt said, or alluded to, scaffolding is how we do that. And if you had an IIS app, if we had the scaffolding, you go in and type have plan init, and it will generate you the plan that you need. So look forward to that as well. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you.